Let's go now to Egan. He is obviously we thought he was going to come back this week because it was HIA. The reports are saying now that it's actually a shoulder, and it's a to be confirmed indefinite one. So you never know. That might be next week or it might be 7 weeks. You can't really tell with the indefinites. But how does that impact everything? You saw Sam Healy kind of gas out. He's still young in the game.
He is.
He's not going to be a full 80-minute what Egan was. Do we miss out a lot on without Egan going up to? If it says till the finals, and we're looking to get 2 wins, and he's a big part of our system. Does that severely impact us, or is there enough cover there with a Healy and a Tamaide, looks like, or even a Lussick to cover that 9 role?
It's similar to across the park of what we're dealing with at the moment. Like, it's good enough to cover. Like, our depth there is doing a great job. Like, Healy's got such a high potential, and like as I continue to say, like, but it's chalk to cheese between him and Wade Egan. Like, Wade Egan's so established, he's so experienced in these roles. Like, he is so big on our attack. The times that he holds up, his markers and his aid defenders to really give space for his halves to allow, like, that's something we really do miss, and that's what Healy doesn't have in his game just yet. Healy's this really big athletic phenom at the moment. That's when he sniffs the ruck and he wants to go, he just goes and he takes the game because he's young, he's youthful. I think we are missing quite a bit there without Wade Egan there. But Healy brings a different part of the game that really excites me as well. Like, I would love to see if everything was fit and ready to go, as people have probably discussed for a long period of time. Having Healy and Wade Egan have that dynamic going with each other, and both those guys kind of learn off each other in that sort of sense. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty big miss for us, for sure, because I think that he was also one of our big leaders out there that people probably don't recognize when they just see it on the TV screen. When you see him live and see how much he actually does for our squad out there, especially in attack, he's definitely a major miss for us. And shout out also, quickly on this, shout out to Freddie Lussick, because I actually thought when Freddie came on, I thought that his ruck work and all that was actually really solid. I thought he came on, and in moments, I thought that he looked like the cleaner hooker comparatively out of the two of Healy and that. I think Healy just had the better moments of like the expansive play and stuff. But as an out-and-out hooker, like getting service to your chest, get him around the park, stuff like that, I thought Lussick had a cracker of a game for that little period he was on.
Yeah, it's not a bad option, man. Look, for me, the whole Tamaide thing, I always liked Tamaide as more of a ball-playing lock. That I didn't see him as a hooker cover. I would actually go with a Freddie Lussick to come in there for that role, because Tamaide's playing that kind of hooker cover role. And I know he's backline cover for everything, but it's almost like we've got to take a punt now and just say, man, what's the best to keep our forward momentum going? I agree. Lussick had a good little stint there. Maybe you go with a Sam Healy and a Lussick. I just think we need the middles right now needs to be as integrity as it needs to be as solid as possible. Because let's just talk about the middles, bro. Because it feels as though we've just really lost control of that middle, and the boys are tired. Jackson Ford's playing 60 minutes, and he's great. But the more he plays, he got called for another. Was it roll ball? I can't remember which one it was, but there's always an error there, And I'm just thinking, do we need to put a Freddie Lussick on there? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that for me, what I'm noticing with our front row, and like shout out to, I thought Martin Nicoda had actually a really solid knock in the middle in this game. I thought he had some really damaging runs, some good momentum type runs to get us back on the front foot when he came on. I think Aaron Clark's doing some big heavy lifting at the moment in the middle there. I think he's like absolutely killing it. Jackson Ford's doing some really good work there too. The thing with Jacko is, and Webby talks about it a lot, Jacko's this guy that you kind of let off the leash and he just runs around and just does everything. And sometimes it's to his benefit and to his deficit, right? Like he can make a ton of tackles in this game. It's similar to, right, it goes back to my thoughts on certain front rowers like a Terrell May. Like, I think Jackson Ford has more impact in the attacking game, like, with his impact in running through and stuff. But defensively, I think Jacko's not the greatest, like, big hitter. Sometimes he can fall in the wrong side of the ruck. Sometimes he gets really messy in around the ruck. That's why I think he's probably our heaviest penalized player in our side right now as well.
Yeah.
Like Jacko's doing incredible work, and I don't want to come off as that sort of thing, but I think we're running so low in middle depth and that we can't just have Jacko run, with chain off the leash for 80 minutes, 70 minutes without like defensive breakdowns in the middle. But like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
But if you think about it, if we win that game, he would have been probably close to man of the match because
he's incredible. Yeah.
Because I think what we'd be trying to do, he said, look, I'm going to try to get Jackson Ford to do 2 of my props work because you could see he left them out there to save a rotation for Clark and who else. Like I think that was the plan because Webby knew he was short some middle cover. I think it'll be a bit different with Dimitri. If Dimitri can be fit this weekend, that adds a layer that Jacko doesn't have to go for that extra. Then if you add in Fish, we're starting to cook again. Like we're starting to get some just consistency of middle control. Yeah, because I agree. He has these. It's funny because he's playing for like 50 minutes, and then a 55 minute of he picks up all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like you're expecting him to be the worst when he's at 55 minutes, but he actually picks up. He's actually at his worst when it's like 10 minutes in. Sometimes it's like he's just get waves. It must be ADHD. He gets waves of energy at different times of game. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And this is the thing is like I don't want it to like come off as like I'm not saying he's bad in this sort of sense. I think he's the type of player that legit he just works himself, and I don't think he works in a system. I think Jacko's the type of guy that goes out there and just attacks the game. So he's going to take on people, and he's going to get himself caught out of line. He's going to do these little things that as a systematic front rower is probably not the greatest thing in the world. Like when people watch Fisher Harris this year, there's been a lot of questions like, is Fisher Harris even doing a job what we kind of hope him to? Which if anyone watches highly systematic football, they'd understand like. Fish is doing his job at a very high level. Jacko's doing his job. His effort's incredible. His attacking rate is fucking unbelievable. Like he just continues to turn over and attack today.
Yeah.
But as a systematic front rower, in some moments he does find himself leaving flat because he chases his tail so much. Because sometimes he hangs out a little bit too much, and that's because he works so hard. So he almost won us the game at one point there too. Maybe remember that line break he had? I think was it in the second half or the first half? The end of the first half where he broke the line through, and I was sitting, go Jacko! Like
no, it's crazy. Yeah.
I don't want it to come off as hate. I'm just more so saying it's like, when you come from a systematic front row, a lot of people question Fish, but what Fish does in this area is so systematic and so well. Jacko's just this type of player. It's all effort based. He's always going to chase the tackle. He's going to do all the little things that's like really love in that sort of sense, but it also can be a deficit in other areas, especially with trying to hold in the ruck, trying to, get back up from position. He finds himself in his back. Yeah, it's just little things like when you watch wrestle rooms, bro, he finds himself in real awkward positions to get out of tackles. Like he's just, but it's because he works so hard. That's the thing with him.
He kind of reminds me of myself when I'm in a dream, and you're running away from the Freddy Krueger or the ghost or he's a little bit like he feels real slow, but he gets through a ton of work, I just think he's a good player, but sometimes for me it's just a little bit too much of him. But I got why Webby was trying to use him because Webby knew he didn't have heaps on the experience on the bench. But
exactly,
look, it may change this week, and his role. I think him coming off the bench was a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, unfortunate for Egan, but next man up, Healy's been signed for this. He's been called up to do this, so we're going to see, what he's got as well. So, look, I just want to get to this topic here, and then we'll get into our team list. But top 4, there's been a big talking point. We've been in the top 4. I don't know how many weeks now. Probably most of the year,
most of the season.
Credit to us, man. I know a lot of people say, top 4s, we're a crap team. You hear a lot of that, but I'm like, mate, this team would always be chasing points, historically, the Warriors, by this time. We'd be sitting in 12th right now, trying to get it into the 8. I give a lot of credit to the club for banking points early, man. Like, seriously, this is the first time we've done it the right way. We banked the points early when we could, when we beat teams when they were a little bit weaker, maybe you could argue. But, and it's fair enough that we may drop down out of the lower part of the 8. There's even concern from, we've talked off here, like, man, we actually need to get 2 wins, and it's looking how everyone else is trending that they're on the up. It shivers. It's going to be quite tough. But either way, what's your thoughts on the top four, and what's your thoughts on do we make? Yeah, I know that's kind of negative, but how do we get those 2 to 3 wins that we need to ensure that we stay in that top 8, which would be a great result for Webby overall and the club.
Yeah. I think that, like, whatever way I attack this, it's always going to either come off as like I'm defeatist mentality or something like that. But I'm just going to say it the way I feel it. To start the season, no one gave us any thought that we were going to be a top 4 side. And even when, teams had some real hot moments, cold moments, we were the consistent side out of the competition with the Dogs, with the Raiders, and we kept turning up during the season. And with a side that missed a whole lot of experience, get ripped out, the heart of the Warriors got ripped out of us in one preseason with Tohu Harris, Sean Johnson, Adam Fanor-Blake, Jazz Tavanga, Dylan Walker, names go on. People didn't have us anywhere close to where we are right now. So everything we say right now, it comes off as a positive, because this year for me, no matter the way we look at it, is still a very positive year. It's just like, it's no ifs or buts about it. What Webby's doing with the side is absolutely incredible, and he deserves credit for it. And that's why I kind of probably come off as I'm very protective of Webby, is I think when we go and step up to these competitions, and when we get to a point of like, can we win a competition this year, we start thinking, oh, well, is Webby good enough in this area? And we start really nitpicking at little things. And sometimes when we go down that route, we can start feeling that we're a lot negative than what we actually are. So what am I going to say here, guys? We're in a very positive mind frame. The Warriors are in such good place. And when we get all our boys back from like an injury, either this year or next year, we're going to be in an incredible place in this competition, I believe anyway. And if we had a full strength side in this run home, I'd be so much more confident we hang on to the top 4 than we are right now. We're saying that. The key points, as I said before that, was with all the players that we have out of our squad right now, people have got to understand, if the Melbourne Storm, they've lost Jerome Hughes now, and people are already discussing if they can even win a premiership without Jerome Hughes. We've lost our Daily M leading halfback of the year in Luke Metcalf that won us games off his own back to start this year. We've lost our captain in Mitch Barnett, and us, the New South Wales Blues, how much of a miss that Mitch Barnett was as well to their side. So he's obviously a very valuable piece in the competition. James Fisher-Harris for multiple times this year, our new signing that we brought in for Adam Fanor-Blake. Wade Egan, who is our conductor in the middle. Sean Johnson will even come out and say how big he is to our attack this year and how big he's to our leadership. And then add that with our centers with Rocco Berry, Ali Leotoa consistently getting rotated out. And then now even our rotational piece for James Fisher-Harris, whether he's healthy now or not, Vai Mwanga has been dropped out of that lineup. If he is back, very exciting. But if he isn't for a little bit longer, then, we got to worry there. Our run home, I don't see us staying top 4 due to, I think the Penrith Panthers have primed themselves into such a good position right now where I feel like they're going to come into that position. Unfortunately, I think the Broncos, they can find themselves there because they're very hot and cold in some moments, and they've just such a talented side where they haven't dealt with the amount of injury play what we have. They've dealt with injuries, but they're in a very good position. I think we're in a point right now where we need to find a couple of wins to stay in the top 8. I was doing a ladder prediction today, and when we're going up against the Dolphins, the Roosters, and the Manly Seagulls on their run homes, those 3 teams are going to be hunting for a top 8 spot. I think it may need to go 13 to 14 wins in this year to get to the top 8. It's not like last year you need to go 12 and 12. I think you need to go 13 and 11 or 14 and 10. And with us on our run home, the Dogs is going to be a tough task. And people got to understand this. The team looks really decent for what we have, but it's not what we had for a top 4 side. And top 4 sides are a little bit different than they are top 8 sides. So Dogs going to be tough. The Dragons, what they did to the Raiders over the weekend, they're going to be a side that's going to be a thorn in a lot of people's sides for the run home this year. That's a game where we need to win, but it's going to be a tough one on its day. The Titans, who have become our bogey side for some reason, and it frustrates me so much because I got a good mate that's a Titans fan, but they took it to Penrith over the weekend. So on their day, they can beat any side and ruin our run home. Parramatta Eels have got, the Mitchell Moses back, and they're looking really, really solid at the moment. So what looked like a soft run home has actually became a point where I feel like we've fallen back to a top 8 sort of side right now that's fighting in the middle of the 8, which is what a lot of people thought that we weren't going to be to start this year anyway. And it's going to be tough for us to hang around in that 8. So I think that by the end of the year, we can find our ways to that bottom side of the 8, 7, 6, stuff like that to the 8. I just can't see us holding on to the top 4 because I don't see us getting 3 or 4 wins out of that run home, which would probably lock us into a top 4 position. And I think the Panthers run home more than likely, even though they got somewhat of a tough run home, they're just in a rich vein of form right now.
Yeah, Panthers will take that. They'll pip us. Broncos, you're expecting them to kind of pick up as well? Take a 5th, 6th type of spot?
Somewhat. I was looking at their run home, and they got some iffy ones to where they can go 50-50. Like the Knights on their day defensively, I think can frustrate the Broncos out of their systematic play and get them playing stupid football, which the Broncos are really prone to doing. I think they got Melbourne twice in their run home as well. So it's like they can run hot and get hot and go to the top 4, but the Broncos, you don't know what you're going to get at the moment still. So you really just don't know. I think it's the Panthers are going to be the ones that pip us, and the other one's the Sharks. I think the Sharks, people don't not even looking at the Sharks because they've had such an up and down year this year, but they have a soft draw in moments as well. So I think the Sharks right now, if they had their bye, they would actually be in a top 4 spot, and we would actually be out of the top 4 right now. But they just haven't had their bye
yet. I'll probably go with this is where you start playing points differential game. But like to be fair, based on points differential, we're probably sitting. Look, the Dolphins have got that on us. If they get a couple more wins, they'll boost up. Yeah, if Sharks have got 20 points on us, Broncos, that's Broncos and Panthers. They'll easily have that number on us. You're starting to look at the 8th spot and say, look, 9th and 10th, you got 20 points in Roosters and 6 in Sea Eagles. Like if you can get some wins and you start playing the points differential game, you can start to back yourself. They're a ways off though. They're 3 wins away.
Exactly.
So we just need to bank another 2 solid wins, even with a decent points differential.
Yep.
We should have a good run there. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
You're probably thinking, Sharks they'll keep us. Broncos, they just got those points differentials as well. That doesn't help us right now. But it is
and we're saying that too. I'm not saying that we won't be a top 4 side this year. But what I am saying is if we end up on a top 4, I think people should be celebrating to the highest of the hills because not to say we don't deserve it, but with everything we're going against us this year, we shouldn't be up in that class of top 4 side. And even when we go to the finals, it would help us so much getting top 4 because it'll give us 2 bites of the cherry. I think just we've run so hard this year, and I think the boys have laid such a good groundwork. There's so many good things to this year that I think right now, being a top 4 side is probably the last thing we should be thinking about. Is just finding a way to stay into the finals and get into a finals series, and then look back at this year and go, boys, how did we do that? How incredible. We've laid the groundworks, and the future looks incredibly bright. For Webby with a full strength squad to get us to a top 4 position for majority of this year. And honestly, I go back to, I look at the run that we've had. If we had a full strength squad, or we had majority of our boys back, if we had Luke there, if we had Barney there, if we had Fish there for majority of these periods, I think that we win a lot of these games. I think we do the Knights. I think we can do the Titans. I reckon we would have done the Dolphins over the weekend with Fish or Barney out there. I don't, It's one of those sort of things where I think that we're stripped away of some really key pieces that are a lot more key players than what other sides are probably dealing with.
Yeah, and just other teams are on the up too. Like the Panthers just tearing it up. And that's just that's the way the comp works. But I go back to this point. This team, I think, had a record for banking 5 wins or 6 wins. The first time we've done it in our season. From I think 2018 was the last time we won 5 straight.
Yep.
We banked a good solid 8 wins early on. I always go back to that magic number, get 12 wins or year 13. We're not far off that, although we're kind of on fumes a little bit. Then again, if you can promise me a healthy Dimitrik, a healthy JFH, no injuries till the rest of the year, I'm pretty happy we can jag solid 2. So I just need that middle to be integral. And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I'm right there with you, bro. I'm in total agreement. I think it's going to be tough for us to pip those out, but it's going to be 2 tough, grindy 1-12, classic Warriors this year footy of just getting it done and any means necessary. And I think we'll learn to do that, especially with boys coming back. I think that this weekend's going to be a tough task, but don't hold it again. If we turn up and we just fight fire with fire and we go at the contest, I think that we can contend in one-off contests with the Dogs. And then see what we can do with these next